Hey, buddy, hit that subscribe. Just a sec for you, but it means the world to me. I turned 68 on a cold Saturday morning. The kind where the house feels louder because no one else is in it. The trees outside were already stripped bare, branches scratching against the sky, like they were asking for something they weren't going to get. I woke up the same way I have for years now, alone, in a quiet house that used to be full of noise, arguments, laughter, and Sunday dinners. Margaret had been gone 4 years, but some mornings it still felt like she'd just stepped out for groceries. I shuffled into the kitchen wearing my old college sweatshirt, the one she always teased me about. Coffee started brewing on its own at 7 sharp. Just like always, that routine was about the only thing keeping me steady these days. I checked my phone out of habit. No messages. No calls. At my age, birthdays aren't fireworks anymore. They're more like a checkpoint you pass quietly and keep moving. Around noon, the doorbell rang. That alone surprised me. When I opened the door, there stood my daughter, Evelyn, holding a large gift bag with a bright ribbon that felt almost performative. She smiled, but it wasn't the warm smile I remembered. It was careful, measured, like she'd practiced in the car. "Happy birthday, Dad," she said, stepping inside. She handed me the bag and told me she wanted to get me something special this year. Inside was a sleek tablet, brand new, still sealed. One of those expensive ones with a screen big enough to read, without squinting. My first thought wasn't excitement. It was confusion. "Evelyn, this must have cost a fortune," I said. She brushed it off like it was nothing, said it would help me stay connected, manage things, video call, read books, keep an eye on my finances. All in one convenience. She leaned in and kissed my cheek, and for a second my chest tightened. Not in a bad way. In a hopeful way. Maybe this was her reaching out. After everything we'd lost, maybe she was trying to come back. We ate lunch together, talked about surface-level things. My health, my sleep, whether I'd been keeping up with appointments. She sounded caring, but something about it felt scripted, like she was ticking boxes in her head. When she left, I spent the rest of the afternoon fiddling with the tablet, pressing buttons, figuring out how to turn it on without accidentally ordering something I didn't understand. That night, I plugged in beside my bed and felt oddly comforted. Like maybe I wasn't as forgotten as I thought. I had no idea I'd just invited a silent observer into my home. A few days later, I drove into the city to see my grandson, Daniel. Smart kid, works in cybersecurity. Knows computers the way surgeons know scalpels. I figured he could help me set things up properly, maybe teach me how to use video calls without embarrassing myself. He took one look at the tablet. 5 minutes. That's all it took. Then his face changed. Not confused. Not curious. Scared. "Grandpa," he said quietly, lowering his voice like the walls might be listening. "We need to talk. And you might not like what I'm about to say." I laughed it off at first. Told him it was brand new, straight from the box. A birthday gift from his aunt. He didn't laugh back. Instead, he set the tablet down like it was radioactive. "This thing was set up before you ever touched it," he said. "And someone installed surveillance software on it. Not cheap stuff either. Professional level." I felt the room tilt just slightly. "That's not funny," I said. "That's my daughter." Daniel looked me dead in the eye. "I know, and that's why this is bad." He explained it slowly. Too slowly. Whoever had access to this device could see what I typed, hear what I said, even turn on the camera, without me knowing. Every login, every email, every private moment. My birthday gift wasn't a gift. It was a window, and someone was already looking through it. By the time he said the words, "We should call the police," my hands were shaking. I still didn't want to believe it. But deep down, something clicked into place. That careful smile. Those questions about my health. The sudden interest. And for the first time since Evelyn handed me that tablet, I felt something colder than betrayal. I felt hunted. I told myself it had to be a mistake. That no daughter would ever do this to her own father. But 11 days later, I found proof that the tablet wasn't just watching me. It was helping her plan how to erase my life completely. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a minute. Every creak of the house felt louder than usual. The refrigerator hum sounded like it was breathing. I kept glancing at the tablet sitting on the nightstand, face down like it was ashamed of itself. I'd never felt paranoid before, but now every shadow felt like eyes. The next morning, Daniel picked me up early. No jokes, no small talk. He drove like a man who knew time mattered. We went straight to the police station downtown, and that's where I met Detective Laura Chun. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, calm voice. The kind of person who doesn't waste words because she's seen too much to be dramatic. Daniel laid everything out. Technical reports, screenshots, logs I couldn't even begin to understand. She listened carefully, asked questions, nodded slowly. When she finally turned to me, her expression didn't soften. "Sir," she said, "your grandson is right. This device was deliberately configured to monitor you before it was gifted." That word hit harder than anything else. Deliberately. She explained what that meant in plain English. Whoever set this up could track my movements, listen in whenever they wanted, and collect personal data without me ever knowing. If I'd use it for banking or insurance, they'd already have the keys to my life. She asked me the question I didn't want to answer. "Does anyone close to you have a financial reason to do this?" I stared at the table. My pension wasn't huge, but it was steady. My house was fully paid off and worth a small fortune now. Savings, investments, life insurance. A lifetime of doing things the right way. Comfortable. That was the word. Detective Chin nodded like she'd already guessed. "When we see cases like this involving seniors," she said, "it's usually not about curiosity. It's about control." Control. She asked me not to confront anyone. Told me to act normal. To go home and live my life like nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, her team would dig. I walked out of that building feeling like the ground under me wasn't solid anymore. 3 days later, the phone rang. "Mr. Morrison," Detective Chin said, "I need you to sit down." That's never good news. She told me they'd been looking into Evelyn's recent activity, financial records, communications, and then she dropped the name. Victor. Apparently, the man she'd been dating wasn't just some harmless boyfriend. He had a record. Fraud. Elder abuse. The kind of guy who looks for vulnerable people and turns them into ATMs with heartbeats. My stomach twisted. Then came the real gut punch. "Did you recently change a beneficiary on your life insurance policy?" she asked. "No," I said immediately. "Absolutely not. According to the records, it had been changed months ago. My son was removed completely. Evelyn was now the sole beneficiary. The signature wasn't mine. Someone forged it. Before I could even process that, she added one more thing. They've been asking about guardianship proceedings, about declaring you mentally incapable." That word again. Incapable. I sat there in my kitchen, phone pressed in my ear, staring at the same table where my wife used to sort groceries and pay bills. My daughter wasn't just spying on me. She was building a case to take my freedom. Detective Chin laid out the plan, and it wasn't one I ever imagined I'd agree to. They wanted me to keep using the tablet. Let whoever was watching think it was working. Feed them carefully chosen information. Small comments, little cracks, enough to make them move faster. "You want me to pretend I'm losing it?" I said quietly. "I want you to protect yourself," she replied, "before they take everything." That night, I sat alone in my living room with the tablet back in my hands. It had been modified now, a trap inside a trap. The watchers were being watched. I turned it on and started talking out loud. "House feels too big lately," I said, staring at the wall. "Hard to keep track of things. Maybe I should sell. Maybe I need help." Every word tasted bitter, but the hook worked. The next morning, Evelyn called. Her voice was bright, too bright. "Dad, I was just thinking about you. How are you feeling?" I let my voice tremble just a little. "Oh, not as sharp as I used to be." There was a pause. Not concern. Relief. She suggested coming by to help organize things. Financial planning. Paperwork. Said it like she was doing me a favor. When I hung up, my hands were shaking again. Not from fear this time. From clarity. Whatever version of my daughter I'd been holding on to in my head. She wasn't the one on the phone anymore, and I still had no idea how far she was willing to go. I thought the spyware was the worst part. I was wrong, because a few days later, while searching through my basement, I found something far more terrifying than a hack tablet. I found my daughter's handwritten plan to erase me from my own life. I went down the basement the same night Evelyn left. Didn't even turn on the TV. Didn't eat dinner. My head was buzzing too loud for that. Detective Chun had told me to stay normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. The house felt like it was holding its breath, like it knew something ugly was coming out into the open. Most people think basements are where you keep junk. Old paint cans, Christmas decorations, boxes you swear you'll go through someday. For me, it was where my wife had kept everything organized. Margaret was meticulous. Color-coded folders, labels in her neat handwriting. If something mattered, it ended up down there. I hadn't touched those cabinets since she passed. That night, I finally did. At first, it was boring stuff. Utility bills, tax returns, insurance paperwork I barely understood back then and definitely didn't feel like reading now. I was about to give up when I noticed a folder shoved where it didn't belong. No label, no color code, just a plain manila folder jammed between old receipts. That's when my stomach dropped. Inside were medical forms with my name already typed in. Not blank, filled out. Symptoms listed that I never had. Memory loss, confusion, trouble managing daily tasks. Boxes lightly checked in pencil, like someone was rehearsing for a performance. Then I saw the guardianship paperwork. Ontario government forms. My name already entered. Dates left blank. All ready to go. Just waiting for the final push. Financial printouts followed. Bank balances. Investment summaries. Even a copy of my house deed. Someone had done their homework. At the bottom of the stack was a single sheet of line paper. Handwritten. I knew the handwriting immediately. I'd seen it on birthday cards. Christmas notes. Thank you letters. My daughter's. It wasn't a letter. It was a checklist. Timeline, it said at the top. Stage 1, establish infusion, October to deck. Stage 2, get POA signed Jan. Stage 3, file guardianship, February. Stage 4, access accounts, cell house, spring. And one final line at the bottom. V says we need to move faster. Dad's health is still good. Window closing. V. Victor. I sat on the concrete floor staring at that page until my legs went numb. Memories kept crashing into my head like a bad highlight reel. Evelyn at 8 years old, handing me a homemade card. Evelyn as a teenager, crying over her first breakup. Evelyn holding my hand at Margaret's funeral, promising me we'd be okay. This wasn't desperation scribbled in a moment of panic. This was a plan. A cold, step-by-step plan to turn me into a ghost while I was still breathing. I photographed everything. Every page. Every note. Then I called Detective Chun. She didn't sound surprised. She sounded angry. This is exactly what we needed, she said. Now we wait. Waiting was the hardest part. Over the next week, Evelyn came by twice. Each visit, she pushed a little harder, asked more questions, brought more papers, mentioned assisted living like it was a vacation resort, said things like, "You seem tired lately," and "Maybe it's time someone helped you manage things." I nodded, played dumb, let my shoulders slump. Inside, I was boiling. During her second visit, she brought up power of attorney again, slid the papers across the table like they were harmless. "Just in case," she said. "No pressure. No pressure." I smiled weakly and told her I'd think about it. That night, Detective Chin sent me something that made my blood run cold. A recorded call. Evelyn and Victor. They'd been intercepted legally, every word crystal clear. "He'll sign next week," Evelyn said. "Good," Victor replied. "Once we have POA, we move fast. Guardianship, capacity assessment, liquidation." Liquidation. Like I was a business asset. Evelyn hesitated. "He's my dad." Victor laughed. "He's an old man sitting on money he'll never use." That laugh changed something inside me. Any doubt I had left evaporated. The next morning, I called Evelyn and told her I was ready to sign. She sounded relieved, excited, almost giddy. We scheduled a meeting with a lawyer she'd already picked. I hung up and stared at the tablet. They thought I was done. They had no idea I was about to end this. They believed I was walking into that law office to sign away my life. What they didn't know was that the police would be waiting, and that the truth was about to destroy everything my daughter thought she'd won. The morning of the meeting, I woke up calmer than I had in weeks. That surprised me. You'd think walking into a situation where your own daughter plans to steal your life would wreck your nerves. But something about having the truth on my side steadied me. I showered, shaved, put on a clean jacket. Not because I wanted to look sharp, but because I wanted to feel like myself again. Not the confused old man they'd invented. Evelyn was already waiting in the parking lot when I arrived. She waved like this was a celebration, like we were about to grab lunch instead of signed documents that would erase me. I played my part, smiled weakly, leaned on the car door just a bit longer than necessary. "You ready, Dad?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Let's get this over with." The law office was small, neutral, the kind of place where big decisions get made quietly. A man in a gray suit introduced himself as the lawyer. Polite, professional, way too eager. He spread the paperwork across the table. Power of attorney, banking authorizations, healthcare directives. Page after page designed to hand control of my life to someone else. "Just sign here," he said, tapping the page. "And here, initial there." I picked up the pen. Then I set it back down. "I have a question," I said. Evelyn's smile tightened. "Dad, we went over this." "Did we?" I asked calmly. "Because I don't remember discussing how you changed my life insurance without my permission." Silence. "I also don't remember agreeing to be declared mentally incapable," I continued, "or discussing how your boyfriend did time for pulling this exact scam on another senior." Her face went pale. "Dad, I don't know what you're talking about," she said, voice cracking. That's when the door opened. Detective Chin stepped in, followed by 2 uniformed officers. "Evelyn Morrison," Chin said, voice steady. "You're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to commit elder abuse." Everything unraveled at once. Evelyn jumped up so fast her chair tipped over. "This is crazy." "Dad, tell them." I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. Not the little girl. Not the version I wanted to remember. The woman who had written a timeline for my destruction. "It's not a mistake," I said. "I know everything." She started crying, begging, saying Victor made her do it, that she was in debt, that she didn't mean to hurt me. As the officers let her out, she looked back one last time. "Please," she whispered. "I'm your daughter." "My daughter would have asked for help," I said, "not tried to bury me." She was gone. Victor was arrested that same afternoon. Tried to run. Didn't make it far. Apparently, he'd already been packing, planning to disappear once the paperwork was signed. The investigation dragged on for months. Every detail uglier than the last. Victor had done this before. Evelyn wasn't his first partner, just the most recent. She owed him money. A lot of it. The court dates came and went. I didn't attend. I couldn't sit there and watch blood be reduced to case numbers. Victor got 7 years. Evelyn got probation. And when it was over, I went home to a house that felt quieter than ever. I thought justice would bring relief. I was wrong, because after the trial, when everything went quiet, that's when the weight of losing my daughter finally hit me. When the noise stopped, that's when it really hurt. No more detectives calling. No more court updates. No more pretending I was confused. Just silence, the kind that sits heavy on your chest and doesn't care how strong you think you are. I filed a restraining order the week after sentencing. No calls, no letters, no just checking in. That wasn't revenge. That was survival. I changed my will, changed my insurance, changed every password I'd ever reused like an idiot. Daniel helped me lock everything down like Fort Knox. New alerts, new cameras, 2-step verification on stuff I didn't even know needed it. Trust once broken doesn't come back easy. My son Michael flew in that summer. We sat on the back deck, watching the sun drop behind the garden Margaret planted years ago. Same roses, same breeze. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. I still can't believe she did this, he said. There has to be more to it. There is, I replied. Desperation, debt, and the wrong man whispering in her ear. Do you miss her? That question hung in the air for a long time. I miss who she used to be, I said finally, or maybe who I thought she was. We didn't talk much after that. Didn't need to. Weeks turned into months. I got used to double-checking doors, to looking at my phone like it might betray me. Some mornings I woke up and forgot everything for a few seconds. Those were the worst, because then it all came rushing back. I thought about selling the house, starting fresh. But Margaret's roses still bloomed every spring, and some memories are worth the weight they carry. One night, I turned 69. No gifts, no cake, just me in a quiet house. I preferred it that way. I'm not telling this story for sympathy. I'm telling it because it happens way more than people want to admit. Elder financial abuse is one of the fastest growing crimes out there, and the ugliest part is this. It usually doesn't start with a stranger. It starts with someone you trust. Someone who knows your habits, your weaknesses, your soft spots. Someone who knows exactly how to sound caring while quietly taking notes. In my case, it started with a birthday gift. If you're watching this and thinking, that would never happen to my family, that's exactly what I used to think. I raised my kids right, taught them honesty, responsibility, respect. I believed love was enough to protect us. It wasn't. What saved me wasn't strength or intelligence. It was a gut feeling that something felt off. A moment where my heart knew the truth before my mind was ready to accept it. That little voice most people ignore, because facing reality hurts more than denial. So here's what I learned the hard way. If someone suddenly showers you with expensive gifts, ask why, especially electronics, especially devices that connect you to everything you own. Convenience can be a leash if you don't know who's holding it. If a family member becomes overly interested in your finances, your health, your memory, pay attention. Concern doesn't usually come with pressure. Control does. If someone keeps suggesting you're forgetting things or not as sharp as you used to be, don't brush it off. That's often the first brick in a wall they're building around you. Never sign paperwork you don't fully understand. Power of attorney isn't a formality. It's a loaded weapon. In the right hands, it protects you. In the wrong ones, it destroys you. And most important of all, don't isolate yourself. Isolation is a predator's favorite tool. Stay connected. Talk to someone, a friend, a lawyer, a doctor, the police. Pride has no place when your freedom is on the line. I don't speak to my daughter anymore. I don't know if I ever will. Some wounds don't heal clean. Some trust, once shattered, can't be glued back together. I still dream about her sometimes. Not the woman who betrayed me. The little girl in the backyard, holding a crayon-drawn card, smiling like I was her whole world. I wake up reaching for something that doesn't exist anymore. But I'm still here, still standing, still free. And that matters. If you take anything from my story, let it be this. The most dangerous threats don't always kick down your door. Sometimes they knock, smile, and hand you a gift wrapped in love. Stay sharp, stay connected, and protect yourself even from the people you never thought you'd have to. Thanks for listening.